Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where we bridge the worlds of the taboo topic of money with the woo-woo world of manifestation. We're your hosts, Chris and Jenny Schultz.
We're not just about dollars and cents around here. We're all about lifestyle design. You can be working towards financial independence while still living a life you love today.
Get ready for insightful conversations with guests who have embraced the FIRE movement by achieving financial independence and retiring early, as well as entrepreneurs and individuals who defied the norm and have paved their own way to a life they love.
Together, we'll explore the powerful connection between mindset, financial freedom, and living a purposeful life. And of course, we'll be sharing our own journey to how we carved our path to a seven-figure net worth before hitting the big 4-0. Are you ready to ignite your financial future? Then let's dive right in.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where your journey to financial independence and the life you love begins now.
Today on the show, I welcome the host of Legacy Building Mamas podcast, Evelyn Lopez Delon. Evelyn knows what it's like to hustle. She is propelled by a strong why to leave a legacy for her children. She is fired up to achieve financial independence at a young age, and her husband are currently working both corporate jobs, building a business together, alongside raising a young family. And if you think you are too busy to add something else to your plate, I encourage you to listen up today, as Evelyn is sharing some game-changing systems that you can put into place. Thank you for joining me on the Manifestation and Money podcast, Evelyn.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen. I am so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Can you please share with the listeners about who you are and what your story is?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up in Melbourne, Australia. I actually migrated from El Salvador with my family when I was only 4 years old. So my family background culturally is the Latin culture, which is completely different to Australian. So having to balance the two cultures growing up has been very interesting. It's like that kind of half freedom, but half, no, this is the way that life should be, very much like you go to school, get your school degree, go to uni, well, in Australia, it's university, right? So college degree. And then you go into corporate, you work, you get married, you have kids and all that sort of stuff. But because I was so young to also choose that flexibility of like, well, we're living in Australia. I am surrounded by other friends that also have that flexibility to live their life the way they want to. I grew up in a sense of both, that structured life, but also that flexibility life. But I actually loved my freedom, loved to travel, have always been free. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to get married, which completely went off. My dad was like, you're going to have to get married. No, I don't know if I want to get married, Dad. But it was that, no, you need to get married. You need to buy a house. And I was always just questioning the norm. I lived my life questioning the norm until I met my now husband. Yes, he actually convinced me to get married. And we then decided to start a business. So another thing that I wasn't too sure about is entrepreneurship. When he actually told me I'm an entrepreneur and I love my flexible life, and I was a bit more structured, no corporate job. You know what? You can live that life and I'll just be financially stable for the family. I'll do the 9 to 5. And when we have kids, you can then be the one that goes and takes them to school, which kind of worked well at the start. I said, yep, that's fine. You can chase your dreams and I will be the financial stable person that can bring in the money because I had my career and I worked hard for it. Then we had kids. And all of that changed. So once I actually started to feel that maternal kick in, I was like, wait a minute, I also want to be there for my kids. And that's when I decided, let's do this together. And Adam had tried to with businesses from one business to another. And I felt like there was something missing. So when I joined and co-founded a business with him, we do a lot of mindset work and goal setting. And now we have this goal of being financially free by the end of 2025. So now my husband and I are working corporate, having our business on the side for now. My husband works 3 days a week. I work 4 days a week. And we're somehow making it work with 2 little kids. So that's my story.
Parts of that story make me want to congratulate you and cheer you on, because I can feel that pull. And I can also feel in that story, echoing in my own heart, that feeling of, wait a second, I have been told that I need to do all these things. Where can I start challenging the status quo? And where are the pieces of my life that I actually get to put into it? So one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you on the show is because you are completely in that hustle state. So you're holding your corporate job, you're building a side gig, you're prioritizing raising a young family. So what keeps the glue together and what keeps you in forward momentum?
I love that question. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It is very confusing, isn't it? It's like you want this, but then you get told something else. So it's just challenging the norm. For us, what keeps the momentum is our vision. So and like I said, we started with a mindset. I said, if I get myself into this, I want to really understand our why that will keep us going. What do we envision what the end goal looks like? And why are we going to do this? And why are we going to work so hard for it? So it's that end goal of having the flexibility with the kids, understanding that it will be hard, but surrounding yourself with the right people as well. So connection for us is a big one, and learning from others. So as we're going on to this journey, we don't have the answers. We don't have the answers right now, but it's been open to these opportunities and taking them on board that keep us going. And I think connection, like people like yourselves, it's so admirable and so inspirational to see that we will get there, and it's worked for you and it's worked for other people. So that's what keeps us going.
I love that. And in there, you said it will be hard. And I think the important thing to point out here is that you are choosing your hard. You are choosing right now to be in this phase working towards your bigger vision, where there should be this tipping point where all of a sudden, wow, what a life of ease we have, because we did the work up front and built this snowball, if you will, and now we're just rolling with it.
Absolutely.
So it will be hard, but you're choosing your hard.
Yeah. And I think that it's also like, I love that saying, where there's a will, there's a way. If you really want it that hard, you've got to trust yourself to know that you will find that way. And for us, trusting myself in this journey is more around the people that I'm surrounding myself, trusting that I'll learn from others as I go on this journey that will empower me to keep going.
I believe that 100%. And as you're going on your journey and as you keep up leveling your life and crossing paths with other people doing what you're wanting to do, there's almost this gravitational pull that they're like, here, come on up here, have a glimpse into my world, see how I'm doing this. Let me tell you about the things that didn't work for me. Let me tell you about the things that did work for me. And it almost fast tracks you to be in this peer circle of people doing what you want to do.
100%. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So living that lifestyle that you're currently doing, what are some tips that you have for other families to juggle that family work balance?
Yeah, my husband and I work on it on a weekly basis because life gets in the way. I mean, sicknesses get in the way. Like I mentioned to you earlier, this week is all blown out of proportion because the kids are sick. It's things that you can't really control, but finding that balance and understanding what your week looks like, it's so much easier to then say, right, okay, you've got X, Y, and Z on, you've got this meeting on, for example, we've got this podcast episode, the kids at home, and just understanding what each other actually has during the week, we can band together. And my husband was like, that's fine. I don't have a meeting, and then therefore I've got the kids. So just understanding what our week looks like, it reduces that stress when things come into play and that overwhelm. So what we actually do is initially we think about what our values are and what our alignment is. So what are the four main key pillars that we love to work on and makes us happier, right? So one of them is family, being present with the family, health, like having our own health, self-care. So supporting each other when Adam needs to go to the gym, supporting myself when I need to go for a run. And then it's that balance with work and being present and being there for clients when the kids aren't around. And then we sit down on a weekly basis and go, okay, now what does this week look like? What do you have on? What meetings do you have? What client work do we need to do? And what does our family then look like on the weekend? Do we have any functions in terms of birthday presents that we need to buy? Who does what? Who's got more time this week? Because at the end of the day, especially when you're in business with your husband, you're both, or if you're working even on your own business and your husband has his own business, whatever it is, or you're by yourself, which some people as well have to do it all by themselves, sitting down and just understanding what your week looks like and then getting that support around you. Even if you don't have a husband, who can help out? Do you have a family member that can help out while you're doing a client work? It's all about planning for us, and that's how we tend to just juggle everything around that happens, but also being fulfilled by the end of the week and saying, yes, we had a crazy week, however, I still had time to do my health and fitness, and that makes us feel good at the end of it, knowing that it's not just about family, it's not just about work, it's also about us and being aligned with our values.
Yeah, I love that you guys are prioritizing health and wellness in that, because you can have all the money in the world. You can set yourself up to achieve financial independence and early retirement. But if you don't have a good health routine and if you don't feel good and feel healthy, that diminishes your lifestyle quality right there. I love that you're empowering and putting that ahead of your work, because a wealthy lifestyle is about so much more than money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You said you ask. So with all of the tasks that you guys have, do you guys outsource and delegate a lot of your pieces?
Yeah, so that was a bigger topic in itself. So when we co-founded our business, my second daughter was only 3 months. And yes, I was on maternity leave, but I had a full-time job. So I think what my husband sort of failed to see at that time was I'm not working full-time at that time. I was be at home with a newborn though. But even then, although I was at home and not working corporate, I was getting overwhelmed with all of the tasks because I was strategizing with him. I was building this business and there was a lot of journaling. There was a lot of writing thoughts and what could that look like? A lot of planning. So we started planning from the very beginning, which is all the things that I do in my corporate job. So when I started to feel this overwhelm and getting upset and frustrated with my toddler and my newborn at that stage, I said to my husband, I need help. I just can't do it all. If you want me in this business, it's communicating. All of these triggers are happening because he would pick out my triggers and it'd be easy for someone to say, why are you so angry today? Or why are you, okay, well, think about all the stuff that I've done today. So it started with arguments and we weren't seeing eye to eye because he was asking me why I was so frustrated and in a crappy mood all the time. But then I was like, you don't see that all the stuff that I do, even though you work from home. So those arguments became really bad and it really turned on us. So we decided we have to do something about it and identify what is it. And then it came down to the mental load. I said to him, I can't do it all. He said, right, let's sit down and like a business, let's plan out and let's strategize on how to actually outsource and what is it that I can take on? What is it that we both can't do because simply there's not enough hours of the day? Who can we outsource to, let's say, his mum? And so we created an actual system, a spreadsheet. I think it took us, it was a 4-hour planning session of all the things that I did, how long it was taking me to do. I would love to actually share this with your audience, if that's okay. So this spreadsheet, you can actually identify all the tasks that you do, that you don't do, who you want to own. You can then allocate it to other family members. So it could be your partner, but if not, it could be a family member, like does your mum help out or any other family, even your kids. If you've got older kids, start to, I like to say insourcing. So start to insource some of those tasks to your kids to also try to help out. Even if it's like taking the dog for a walk for 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes back in your time. That's 20 minutes that you can actually sit and read a book while one of your children takes out the dog for a walk or take out the bins or whatever it is. And then you identify also what it is that you need to, for us anyway, a cleaner, right? We don't want Adam's mum to do the cleaning. We have actually outsourced the cleaning the whole house once a week, and that person comes in for 4 hours and just does it all. And in those 4 hours, we're both working. So we're both making more money than what we're actually paying that person to do. So think about your time, those 4 hours. How much are you actually worth those 4 hours? Is it more than getting yourself a cleaner to do the work? And in itself, it's more valuable time back into your business or back into spending time with the kids. And then once you do that spreadsheet, you'll then be able to identify what your week will then look like. So I've got a weekly schedule chore chart that we do on a weekly basis. In that week, and usually now it's just set up, right? Everyone knows their roles and responsibilities on a weekly basis, but it's still set up there because it took us time. It takes time to also persist with all of these tasks. It took my husband a lot of time to get all of his new jobs that he was doing. And sometimes he'd forget, and sometimes I'd have to remind him, okay, don't forget, your day today looks like this, and have you done it? You have to do it by 12 o'clock because, for example, bed linens, they have to be dry by the time the girls come home from daycare. So that took time. It took maybe two months. Now it's all set out and everyone has their roles and responsibilities, and it means that I've got more time with the girls when they come home. So when they come home from daycare, everything's done, everything's set out. Sometimes in terms of cooking, and because one of our pillars is healthy meals. So for us, it's healthy meals, which means that these healthy meals take time to cook. So I don't cook every day, and neither does my husband. So my husband will cook once a week because he works from home. I'll cook another time during the week. And then we've got the cleaner that actually cooks on a Friday. So they do the cooking and the cleaning. And then my mother-in-law cooks those other 2 days because she's here also helping us out, cleaning, cooking. And so she helps us out. And what that means is that when the girls come home, it's not a stressful environment for them. Everything's done and they get their healthy meals and we all sit down and just eat because everything's done. So for us, that reduced the arguments and me feeling overwhelmed. And it really has changed the way we do things now. And we're just more intentional with the kids and more present when they're home. And we don't have to worry about cleaning up in those 2.5 hours that we've got. Because if you think about if you're building a business like us, have to have everything clean and ready to go by the time they go to sleep at 7:30. We're back working and we're working from 7:30 till 10:30. So we've got 3 hours. We don't have time to be cleaning out there because then it's less time for the business. Again, where there's a will, there's a way. You just find your way by building out these systems like you would a business.
Yes, and I love the whole insourcing in there. I hadn't heard that term before, and now I'm like, my 7-year-old could be picking up the weight a bit more. And like little tasks, right? You mentioned dog walking, but he is allergic to work. So the insourcing, but I'm like, I just feel like the universe keeps poking these little messages in front of me that he's capable now. So start giving him tasks.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I will share a survey. I've done a survey as well that also helps because sometimes you don't even realize the invisible load that we carry. Mm-hmm. And so I actually built out a survey that's actually lists everything out that you don't even think about, the stuff that you do and that invisible load. And if you go through the survey at the end, you'll get a response of the percentage between who does what in the house. So then you'll actually be able to see and then show that to your partner if it gets to 80%, if you're doing 80% of the work, hey, look at this survey. And then that will help that conversation start with your partner to say, well, we probably need to balance this out a little bit more. And how can we do that? Well, we've got a spreadsheet that now you can input and find out. And then you have this scheduled chart that you can then put in so it all balances each other out.
Yeah, that is super helpful.
Thank you.
I want to circle back to something that you said more towards the beginning of our conversation. So you were talking about the importance of knowing what your why is. And why is that?
Because for me, that's what's pushing me forward. So when my husband was talking about being an entrepreneur and envisioning this life that we could live in Spain for 6 months, I was all up for it. Of course I was. I was like, I want that life. This is awesome. Yes, you do that. You work and I'll be in my corporate job. Not really understanding why we were doing it. It was just like, everyone wants that. That's fine. But not until you get into your deep why will you then understand all the pain, and because it's hard work, it will all be worth it. So for example, my why, how I actually found that out is by journaling a lot. Journaling and understanding what my life has looked like up until this point. Like, who am I? What brings me here? And why am I where I am at the moment? So it's that deeper level of everyone has a story. Everyone has a past. Everyone has a family. Probably wasn't the best. For me, it wasn't the best childhood upbringing. And what do I want for my girls to be proud of? What kind of legacy can I leave behind if I actually do this hard work? So knowing that's very hard to do, it's like, okay, understanding why you're doing that. Why will you wake up at 5 a.m. to start your morning? Why will you go to bed at midnight and sometimes at 1 a.m.? What is that life look like at the end of all of this hard work? Like they say, some entrepreneurs will live a few years of their life like others won't. So you can live the rest of your life like others can't. And that's what keeps me going. So, but then finding your why leads you to that. Your why do you want it so much? For me, it was, a bit of my past, like my mum passing away when I was young. And I've had that story for all of my life, but not until the why. What do I want? My mum left her legacy behind. She left a country where for more opportunities for her children to have these opportunities. We have these opportunities. What am I doing with them? Before that, I was doing nothing with it. But now it's like, wait a minute. My mum has left me with a legacy of all these amazing opportunities at my feet. She struggled to get herself to Australia. She was even leaving my dad behind, saying, if you don't want to come with me, you stay behind and I'm taking the kids with me. It was that courage. It was that courage, that sacrifice. She left the country and came to Australia with only $2,000, and my dad barely even wanted to come with her. It's like, wow, all of that courage it takes. And I'm here wanting this life that everyone wants, but I don't want to work hard for it. That doesn't make sense. So finding that why is what makes you work hard for it, what pushes you through the hard yards. Because I think about that and I'm like, okay, so I now need to take on that courage and leave something more behind for my kids in honoring her and honoring my kids as well.
That's really powerful. And I would love for you to leave with the listeners before we go on the biggest piece of advice that you have for someone who is trying to create a lifestyle that they love.
Yeah, just start. I think that was my first thing. Just putting out the intention, start somewhere. It doesn't have to be perfect. Everyone starts off, for example, with 0 followers on Instagram. You know, everyone starts, unless you're actually born into wealth and born into fame. If you're not born into fame and you're not born into wealth, then you have to start somewhere. And don't stress about being perfect. When you're starting, you're learning, and give yourself that time to learn. And it's all about progress and not perfection, taking it day by day, taking it task by task, and knowing that it will take long, but every small step counts.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a lot packed into one question there. Thank you. And where can the listeners reach out to catch more of your wisdom?
Yeah, so I'll be sharing my Instagram. So it's legacy_building_mamas. And my Facebook group, if anyone wants to join and actually connect with me, I'm on my Facebook group and I'm creating this community of helping each other out, supporting each other, and also just lifting each other up, because it's all about the support network that we have to keep going.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
No worries. Thanks, Jen. It was lovely to be on your show, and I'm very honored. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Manifestation and Money podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation and want to continue your journey to financial empowerment and creating a life you love, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
Come follow us on Instagram at Manifestation and Money Podcast or at 4Leaf Lifestyle for more inspiration and behind the scenes content. Remember, your life is yours to live. Your financial freedom journey is as unique as you are. So hop in the driver's seat. It's time to create the life of your dreams.